Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Your Excellencies, distinguished leaders, colleagues, and friends. First and foremost, thank you to the Dubai Government of Human Resource Department for bringing us together this morning to discuss something that is critical and important. I'm really pleased to be here, mostly because this is not a room of spectators. The people inside this room today are deciding how institutions absorb change, how talent gets seen, how this country prepares its people for a future that has already stopped being theoretical. Because AI is not a headline for us. Agentic AI is becoming normative for us. We have moved it into the workplace. We have moved it into regular conversations at home in the UAE. It's settled into a quieter question that a lot of people are carrying with them. And that question is not loud, and it is heavy for our youth. The question is, where do I belong? When the world of work is changing so fast, where's my spot? And one of these young people I had the opportunity to meet a couple of years ago, an Emirati woman from the north of this country who is working in customer service. This is 2.5 years ago. After one of our outreach evenings, her brother Ahmed came home and told her something that she wasn't really willing to hear. He was very excitable at that time. He came back and he said, "You need to absolutely do something about your life. You cannot stay the way you are. You need to go learn about AI because you're going to lose your job." He was very adamant, as she told us, and she laughed. Not because she was being disrespectful or careless, but like most of us, especially a couple of years ago, she assumed it was happening somewhere else. In her words, she said, "Yani, this will not happen in Ras Al Khaimah. This is not for people like me. This is, other industries, other places." Fast forward to 2 months later, and her cousin Aisha, who lives in Abu Dhabi, called her distraught. And she said, "Ya Habibati, I just finished getting out of a meeting where my role was made redundant, and I have to find out how I can do some training to get to another job." Suddenly, it didn't feel so far away. It felt very personal. And so she went back to her brother with a different attitude and a different question. And she tells this story and she says, "Who are these Abdullah al-غرير people? And what do I need to do?" Fatima changed her attitude, and her question, I suspect, are on the minds of many of our youth and many of our people, which is asking in their own words, what do I do now? What still belongs to me in this era of agentic AI? What can I become before the decisions are going to be made for me? And to me, that's where upskilling begins. It doesn't begin with a platform or a certificate or a course or a catalog. It becomes the moment a person realizes that things are changing, things are evolving, and they have some kind of agency, some kind of power to change with it. Through our Women in AI pathway, Fatima went through a grueling 22-week program where she started to understand how to leverage AI and got an industry-recognized certificate. In short, her job was secure, she was able to be promoted, but the story is not exciting because of the curriculum and the success. For me, the story is exciting because something in Fatima shifted. It shifted in her. She went from what is going to happen to me to I'm going to now have a hand in what's going to happen for me. And that's kind of where I want to land in this room with you. As AI becomes more capable, which we're seeing, and there was a great presentation earlier, and there was a panel discussion talking about fears, I want to ask, what will make people more capable? At the Abdullah Al-Khurair Foundation, we work at a nexus where education, employment, and youth and the future of work meet. That's our world. And the foundation, alhamdulillah, was built in the UAE, in Dubai, not far from here. And because we're built here, something magic happens. There is a culture of collaboration across sectors, government, education, and industry. And we have the privilege of being a part of that family. And so what happens is we work together with our partners to keep the road open from learning to earning. And after years of doing this work, I've come to believe a few things. Upskilling is absolutely not just the transfer of knowledge. It is more the conversion of people power and people potential into agency at work. And that distinction has never mattered more than now, because the future of work is not becoming less human as we get agentic AI. It's actually becoming more human. And I think one of the panelists talked about this. The World Economic Forum expects around 40% of the workers' core skills to change by 2030. And the UAE is moving faster than anyone else. There was a reference to this earlier. Microsoft's 2026 Global AI Diffusion Report names the first economy in the world to cross the 70% AI adoption threshold among its working age population to be the UAE. We are absolutely in the lead for adoption. We are not waiting for the future of work. We are going with purpose towards it. Some would even say, I would argue, that we are running towards it in the UAE, and we're running fast. But let's be clear, we are amongst friends in this room, so we can say this. Adoption is not readiness at all. Using a tool and knowing when to trust it, when to question it, and when to set it aside is more important. Our own AGF UAE Skills Pulse tells the other half of that story. Even as the demand for AI is climbing, roughly 60% of skills employers are asking from this market inside the UAE for human skills. Communication, leadership, and the ability to work well with others. Those were the three top ones. So that's not a contradiction. That's the point. The more capable technology becomes, the more it actually is raising the value of human capability. It's what only people can do. AI can process, AI can generate, it can optimize, it can even help you make decisions, but it's based on algorithms. A person still has to decide what matters. A person, a human, still has to ask the better question. And agentic AI will help you ask better questions, but it's based in algorithms. And algorithms are rooted in bias. So the human with the ethical, moral value, and in our case, our Arab Emirati values, need to answer for the consequences of those decisions, which is why we need that human element. And for the leaders in this room right now, that changes the question. It changes the job itself. The question is not, what roles do we fill? The question is become, what now needs to be human judgment more than ever? Where does the human judgment element fall in? Because that's the value. And how do we prepare for a working life that keeps moving faster and faster? Real upskilling asks three things at once. the ability to work, but with technology now, the ability to question it, and that's the critical thinking element, and then the ability to create something of value through it for humanity, for national development. It asks us to be honest about how we measure ourselves. AI certificates are everywhere. Let's face it, I could go online today and get one. Employment is not. The only measure that matters to our youth right now is when learning becomes opportunity, which is why education and employment can no longer live in separate worlds. The future is not degrees or skills, it's degrees with skills that are trusted, portable, connected to a real chance at work. I joined the foundation in November 2019, and a key learning from having gone through the pandemic and conflict and floods and what have you is that when the ground moves, institutions do not survive on tools. They survive on the people who can learn faster than the world is changing so that they can make those decisions. And I'm reminded from one of my young participants, a young male from Ajman, who talked to me. He told me something a year ago that has always kind of sat here with me. He said, besides the technical skills, they are teaching me how to learn. And I wish they would do that and that can happen at work for me. I think about that often because that's the work now, isn't it? Not only teaching people what to know, but how to keep learning, knowing that what you're learning is going to expire. That knowledge is going to expire, and still you need to be motivated. None of us can do that alone. The future of work will be built by ecosystems. Governments, employers, HR leaders, educators, philanthropies, and the learners. The UAE understand this in its foundation. This country has consistently, since inception, placed people at the center of how it builds its future. Not technology for its own sake, but technology in service of stronger institutions, more capable people, more competitive nation. Our own role as a philanthropy is modest, but we are extremely deliberate. We do our work to try and connect learning, opportunity, and the people who are too often left behind in the gaps between the system. We are working with government, with universities, with industry actors, employers, and partners like the Dubai Government Human Resource Department. Partners who really get what this means for our future. Because the closer learning sits to real opportunity, the better it goes for the learner, for the employer, for the country, and for the region. So when I think about Fatima now, I don't hear a story about fear, which you had mentioned earlier, how important that fear can be a barrier. I hear a story about responsibility. Hers, because she moved when it was time to move. She was responsible. And ours, to make that movement possible from our vantage point. AI will keep advancing. Agentic AI is what we're talking about today. I have no doubt there'll be something new coming down the pipeline. Jobs will keep changing. That's just the nature of things. And some of us who might be over 20, like myself, know that this is the nature of things too. Organizations will redesign how they work and how things get done. Our task, collectively, is not to promise people that nothing will change and you'll be okay. It's to prepare them to meet that challenge, that change, with confidence, with judgment and purpose, so that they can fulfill their purpose. Because the future of work will not be decided by what AI can do. It will be decided by whether we build together the systems, we have the courage, and we build the opportunities for our people to rise with the changes. And to me, when I saw the opportunity today, that was the work that was in front of us today. Thank you.